everyone. I'm going to resume this project that I started a while back. Just going to go deeper into this drawing in this process. So far, what I have here is a good broad visual structure or a visual read of where I'm getting with this project. Um, I have gone ahead and corrected some of the linear design and paid careful attention to these angle breaks that you notice. So every time there is a change in direction around the structure, we call that an angle break. Now, it is very important to assess these different angles and the overall structure because it adds as a roadmap for us to fill in the value and study other principles such as form and also how the light interacts with that particular plane and guides our decision about what value to choose while shading. So it is important, rather most important, to work first on this very broad linear design, as I keep saying that and sharing with you even in person and during our critiques. Um, I encourage you to do that. It is a slow process, but a very rewarding one. So keep up the good work. I'm really impressed with the kind of submissions you guys have been sending me. It's just something that you will find or reap the fruits for as you spend more time on your drawing process or your painting process. Um, Over here, this is a very unique drawing because there's a slight tilt to the face, a tilt going left. The face is sort of looking onward, and the way it lines up with the shoulder is a very subtle shift in gesture. But the gaze is strong and very impactful, and the position is steady. Now, this is someone we recognize, so it kind of brings the challenge of establishing likeness. However, likeness is not something that we think about in the early stages. So, as you move along on the hierarchy of what you're going to do, you will make these logical decisions about what's your next step. So first we mapped out our big broad structure. We worked with the structures on the planes. We have our linear design. We have our angle breaks. And now we're at a stage where we're going to study the light, the direction of the light. And we're also going to look at, or rather decide, what our value range is going to be. So that's very critical because a value range helps us decide what kind of pencils we're going to use, what's going to be our darkest dark, lightest light, where are the highlights, and how they create these beautiful transitions in between, which actually helps in creating the form. So there is a very fine balance between all these principles that we slowly build upon and create an impactful and sound drawing. So I encourage you to follow along and work on projects at home. It doesn't matter what you start or what you complete. The idea is that you do begin something. So a lot of beginnings of projects are good, whether you complete them or not. Spend some time studying structure, measuring, looking at the height, the width, how there are how there is an interrelationship between where the angles fall. This is a technique called triangulation, where we follow a particular angle and see what it relates to. So in this particular sketch, I found a lot of relationships. For example, where the eyebrow or the edge of the eyebrow, if we were to draw a line, it kind of lines up with the beginning of this angle break of the chin. The same with where this eyebrow ends is the beginning of the neckline. where the ear end is actually the end of the jawline, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of important to spend time, at least the early stages, to really kind of study your subject. So observe, observe, and observe, and then slowly jump into a controlled process. Like I shared earlier, this wasn't something that I was going to finish all the way to the end, but I got really interested in the process, and I like to complete stuff. I don't like incomplete projects sitting around my studio. And sometimes it really helps me because I let them sit around, I park them as unfinished work, but I keep observing them. And each day, and I come to my studio, even though I'm working on other projects, it's somewhere in the background when I pass, take a break, or I'm walking in or out of the studio, there is something that I notice with a fresh eye. So that's just a little tip and a trick. Sometimes just leave your projects alone, park them, and return to them later. All right, I'm going to do a bunch of time-lapse videos for finishing this drawing. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me or leave it in the link below, or when you meet me in person or on a Zoom call. All right, guys, have fun.